This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, everyone, to the City of Warrenville Public Safety and Finance Committee meeting of the whole. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Brummel,
Here.
Alderman Lockett,
Here.
Alderman Ashour,
Here.
Alderman Berry,
Here.
Alderman Davalos,
Here.
Alderman Augustinovich,
Here.
Alderman Wilkie,
Here.
Alderman Widener,
Here.
Alderman Kruckenberg.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everyone that can please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? This is a time for public comment. Do we have anyone that wishes to speak? Or you can speak later on directly to issues that we're talking about. Then we'll move on to officials and staff comment. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one thing, a reminder that we are engaged in a special census to capture some revenue that's possible to capture before the next census. It's pretty important to the community that we get a lot of participation, because every person that's counted means additional revenue to the city from state and federal funds. You can help with the special census. Anybody who can get out and about in a night like tonight is certainly welcome. Retirees and college students it's a part-time situation. People looking for temporary employment or a second job. People available to work flexible hours, including days, evenings, and weekends. You can apply very easily at census.gov/community jobs for a little part-time job that would definitely help the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I would like to open the floor to the Chief of Police, who would like to make a presentation about National Night Out. Some acknowledgements.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our National Night Out for 2023 and what a great success it was. I've spoken on this before, but I think that coming from another municipality and seeing, by way of comparison, how other municipalities do National Night Out, I have to say that I was extremely impressed with how Warrenville handled their National Night Out. The participation from the community, the police officers, the fire department, the businesses in town. I mean, it was just so impressive on that evening. And I was really proud to really be a part of that. We were also recognized for what a success it was in one of the National Night Out newsletters that they put out. And we were an award winner as far as Category 5 in populations of municipalities' population of 5,000 to 15,000. We were number 16 ranked in there. So for that to be acknowledged nationally is a big thing for us. And again, I'm really proud to be a part of that. I'm really proud to be a part of the Warrenville Police Department and the city of Warrenville. And like I said, it was very happy to see what a great turnout it was. So it's something for all of us to be very proud of. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on to the business of the meeting. Item number 1 is consideration of Tourism and Arts Commission hotel tax grant recommendations for 2025. Senior Accountant Kavina, or whoever's going to take this one.
Sure. So, good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce Chairperson of the Tourism and Arts Commission, Monica Johnson, and she'll be presenting the tax recommendation for the hotel tax grant for fiscal year 2025. Over to you, Monica. Okay.
Thank you, Faranas. Hello, everybody. On behalf of the members of the Tourism and Arts Commission, AKA TAC, I'm pleased to present a recommendation for the funding of 16 events through the City of Warrenville's fiscal year 2025 Hotel Tax Grant Program for your review and consideration. The creativity and variety of the proposed events every year is always exciting to discover as the Commission goes through the applications, and this year was no exception. So before I share a brief overview and answer your questions, I'd first like to thank all of you for continuing to support the program. To get started, TAC received 16 applications to consider for programs that will happen between May 1st, 2024 and April 30th, 2025. 14 of the applications are requesting funding for historically well-received events, and 2 of the requests were new to the grant program this year. One such request came from Warrenville and Bloom to fund their annual calendar, which features photos of the program's award-winning home landscaping. While Warrenville and Bloom has created a printed calendar in the past, they had not requested funding from the Hotel Tax Grant Program before. In addition to printing the calendar, Warrenville and Bloom requests funding for their beautification program for the city's outdoor public spaces. A brand-new program called Activating History was proposed by the Warrenville Historical Society, becoming one of 6 programs requesting funding by this very busy community group. CoffeeCon Midwest has planned to return in late September to St. James Farm. The Warrenville Park District applied for funding for 5 events, which have become annual favorites. The library's Concerts on the Commons will feature 6 summer concerts for the upcoming season, as well as a return of their Sunday music matinees with 7 afternoon concerts. Funding requests across all 16 of these projects totaled over $153,000, and TAC's current budget is $150,000. As always, TAC commissioners worked diligently to review applications to make sure only expenses that were eligible for reimbursement according to the grant program guidelines were ultimately recommended for funding. This careful review brought the award total back within TAC's budget for grant awards. TAC is recommending a total of $146,900 for funding all 16 projects. According to guidelines, the Commission also reviewed the categories under which each expense would fall so that none of the 4 funding categories would be over 50% across all of the projects combined, and that mission was accomplished. The largest grant recommended is for CoffeeCon at $33,500, with Warrenville and Bloom following with just under $31,000. The Park District's Multicultural Festival is being recommended for funding at nearly $20,700, and its Art on the Prairie is being recommended to receive approximately $18,500. Funding for the Park District's Fall Fest is being recommended at $11,500. And the library's Concerts on the Commons is being recommended for funding at just over $11,000. While the library's musical matinees are recommended for funding at approximately $3,500. Warrenville and Bloom's colorful calendar is proposed for funding at $4,500. And funding for the Park District's Lunchtime Live Summer Children's Music Program is suggested at $3,275, and the 7 remaining grants are being recommended for funding at less than $3,000 each. This past year has continued to show that event planning can still be a moving target. So this year's grant application, once again, requested information from applicants as to how their event could be adapted if gatherings were restricted at the time of the event. As always, the TAC commissioners are especially appreciative of the applicants who take time to thoroughly prepare their applications, and we thank them for helping to streamline our process. TAC finalized its review of the application at its meeting on my birthday, December 14th, 2023, and unanimously passed a motion to recommend funding in the amounts listed in the packet for each of the projects that were submitted for tax consideration. I would like to take this moment to thank the commissioners, one of which we have here, Brian Owens. I would also, let's see, I lost my place here. I would also like to take this moment to thank the commissioners for their insightful consideration of all the applications, for Alderman Berry's helpful perspective in every discussion, and for Senior Accountant Faranas Kavina's ability to quickly learn the ins and outs of tax varied activities so she could support us like a veteran liaison. And thank you again for your support in helping to provide funding for such exciting events in our city. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Alderman Lockett?
Yeah, this is just incredible what you guys were able to put together between 16 different events. There's always something going on, always something happening. You have stuff in here that's $200 and other stuff that's $30,000. So you hit the wide spectrum of all of it. So congratulations, just fantastic. Could we piggyback off of the Warrenville and Bloom calendar for our calendar? 'Cause don't we do one separate? No. Okay, that's a no. It's a definite no, she said. Okay, thank you so much, Robin.
Alderman Berry?
As the chairperson, or the liaison from the City Council, I would like to thank all the people that I get to work with, which Monica, as the chairperson, has done an amazing job for the last several years, and she's been a member of the TAC group for quite a long time, and she has done just an amazing job. She's very professional, and she comes with a lot of experience as being a person of art herself. She's has an art background, and so she does enjoy this because it's not only visual art or sculptures or whatever, it's actually the music and all the different events, and that's all art in itself, in a way. So Monica has been great. Linda Osborne has been with the committee, I think, since it actually started. We have Sue Piskarin. She's been new for the last 5, 6, 7 years already. Brian Owen came on, just amazing because he has put up with a lot of women. And he keeps his mouth shut sometimes, and other times he's right out there giving his opinion. So it's been great. And I would really like to thank Franza because she has stepped in very graciously and helped us a lot. She's very good at the numbers, so we trust her. So thanks to everyone. And this has been a great year for Warrenville going forward. These are great events that everyone should be able to attend. I think the community does like it, that we have these things, and that's why the people on this commission will go forward doing this, because they know that the public does get a lot of enjoyment out of these events. So thanks again for all your help.
Thank you. Anyone? Alderman Davalos?
Thank you, Chairman. I just like to build for a minute on top of what's already been said. I just remember Warrenville before Tourism and Arts, and there were things going on, but not like they're going on now. In fact, every year I print this out when it comes to our packet, so I have it on my kitchen table, and I put everything in the calendar and make sure I know when everything's going to be, because I feel so fortunate that all these activities are planned for me. I know other people they're planned for too, but I take it as you guys are planning for me. And because they're so interesting. And here's this new Activating History thing, which looks really interesting, so that'll be fun to see. And then over and above this amazing, huge amount of work you do to pick these programs and discern which ones we're picking and how much we're paying, it's a big job. There's always things like Pegasus that show up, and the little squirrels with the acorns, and the sculpture by the police station, and you guys have really made a difference. So I just want to thank your whole team, and Claire's done that well, and so has Alderman Lockett, and But we are so fortunate to have people that are committed like this, also with creative ideas. So it just makes me smile, as you can see, and I just want to just give you a huge thank you, and your whole commission is just amazing. So, thanks.
Thank you. Mayor Brummel?
What she said. I couldn't have said it better. You guys do a terrific job. It's nice, too, on the commission that with all the heavy lifting you have to do, you have some veterans and you have some new people. So you get new perspectives, and you keep a pulse on what's going on in the community. And there's a nice mix, as Alderman Lockett mentioned, and having been involved in some of these discussions in the past. It's hard work to come up with this final plan here, because a lot of balancing has to be done and a lot of perspectives have to be taken into account. And you do a great job, and Monica, thank you so much. And 5 more years at least?
Of course.
All right. I got her on the record.
Thank you. Anyone else on the council? Alderman Berry?
I forgot to mention one thing. I would also like to thank Alderman Wilkie, because she was on TAC for a very long time, and enjoyed it. Always was great, brought us snacks all the time, keep our energy up. And she was very disappointed that she was going to have to leave TAC when she became an alderman. But I appreciate her sitting next to me, and I'm so glad that she's here. But we have not been able to find somebody to replace her. So I think we're looking for someone still as a
Yes.
member for TAC. So if there's anyone listening that has interest in doing what we do, if you would please contact City Hall and or send an email to the mayor. He would like to have your application. So thank you. And thank you, Alderman Wilkie.
Thank you. The mayor would like to speak, yeah?
Just in terms of encouragement for somebody to join, it is not all hard work. These folks have a lot of fun. They have great meetings. They enjoy each other. There's a lot of good give and take, and it is a very enjoyable thing to participate in. So it's a good way to get involved in the community in a positive way. Just want to say that.
Thanks. Thank you for the excellent presentation and the good work you guys all do. It's much appreciated. Do I have a motion? Alderman Lockett?
I'd like to make a motion that City Council accept the Tourism and Arts Commission recommendations and award $146,900 in hotel tax grant funding to various applicants for fiscal year 2025 per the Tourism and Arts Commission memo dated January 12th, 2024, and direct staff to include this funding in the fiscal year 2025 budget.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 2. Consideration of a Historical Society request for Director Curator funding for fiscal year 2025. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since 2010, the City Council has approved funding for the Warrenville Historical Society's Director Curator position. They have submitted a request again for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $20,000, which is the amount we've done for a number of years now. And despite the fact that I wrote the recommendation wrong, while Assistant City Administrator Morgan has no objection to it, it's actually I was recommending this. So I'd like to just make sure that you know that I'm recommending that this be included in the 2025 budget.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Alderman Davalos?
Again, not a question, but Sarah Palin is wonderful. And I think some of the things on this TAC agenda are supported in maybe even her ideas. But every time I go over there, there's something new going on. And I've actually contacted her about questions, and she's just wonderful. So I'm very glad she's agreeing to do it again, and I'm certainly in favor of the proposal.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, do we have a motion? Alderman Lockett?
I'd like to make a motion, City Council approve the Warrenville Historical Society's grant request in the amount of $20,000 from the Hotel Tax Fund to cover the cost of their part-time museum director, curator, and direct staff to include this funding in the fiscal year 2025 budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Move on to item number 3, consideration of council sponsorship of the 2024 post-prom event. And that would be Deputy Clerk Rivetti.
Thank you. Included with tonight's agenda material is a request from Operation Safe Celebration for council sponsorship of this year's Wheaton Warrenville South and Wheaton North High School's post-prom events. Tonight, Tara Schreiner of Operation Safe Celebration is here to answer any questions for you.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I think this is a good event. Do we have a motion? Alderman Lockett?
I'd like to make a motion that City Council approve a $500 sponsorship of the 2024 Operation Safe Celebration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. Move on to item number 4. Consideration of a change order from storm sewer pipeline contract. Phil Kukler?
Thank you and good evening. City Council awarded a storm sewer pipelining contract to Her Construction last year. Throughout the later part of last year, they were performing some of their preparatory work, which involves cleaning and televising the storm sewer that they're going to line. They get their exact measurements for the pipeline that they're going to need. So as part of that work, they determined that some of the quantities that we had for our pipelines were just off a little bit, by like 8 feet or 4 feet. And so they submitted information for approximately $15,000 worth of extra work for the exact quantities of the pipeliner. They also submit, they went through that prep work, they worked with city staff to look at the pipeline, the storm sewer on Lynn Court to be lined, and the manhole that we had intended to terminate the liner at is actually buried below grade, and in order to actually do the work for the liner and terminate that manhole, they would have had to remove the top section of the manhole and disturb a significant amount of landscaping on private property. So the decision was made to extend the liner through that manhole to the next manhole in line. By doing that and lining through that manhole, Public Works staff can go out and just remove the frame, which is the metal part of the top, raise that with a couple of rings and get that so the manhole is accessible, but really minimizing the amount of work that we'd have to do to disturb the private property at that corner. So there's some additional pipe length in there on Lynn Court as part of this change order, which is a little over $18,000. But the main part of the change order is actually about $106,000 worth of work to add lining about 729 feet of storm sewer on Melcher Avenue. And staff had originally planned on doing that work or including that work in next year's budget. So as we're working through trying to get a budget number, Jamie Clark talked with the representatives from Her Construction to try to get a good budget number. So we had a better number in the budget this year or next year than we did this year. In conversations with them, they had mentioned if we added that work to this year's contract, because they have the capacity and the time to do it this year, that we could save about $10,000 in that work. With the prices they submitted, staff did confirm it is approximately $10,000 savings to incorporate that in this year's contract rather than doing it next year. Additionally, it'll save staff time because we won't have to go out to put together bid documents or have to go out and advertise and then award a contract next year and then coordinate that with a new contractor next year to do this little bit of work. So we're recommending a total change order of about $139,000 to the Her Construction contract. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the council? Alderman Lockett?
Yeah, this is pretty typical, right, in construction. You just guesstimate the quantities, and then sometimes they go over, right? Sometimes they're under. But for this, did they maintain the same price from this year, the unit cost, or did they raise the unit cost with the work that we're doing?
So for the items where we're increasing lengths of a of pipe from the, or pipeliner for the stuff that was in the contract. That's just the contract prices, the price per foot.
But
And
for
so
the 104,000?
the hundred, we didn't have a pipeliner that size, so they gave us a new quote for that. And
Okay.
you'll notice in the resolution, the draft resolution, we also have to, council will have to waive competitive bidding. And in talking with the city attorney, because we're really doing that, adding that work to the contract for the city's convenience and savings, she recommended waiving competitive bidding as part of that, because we had originally intended to go out to bid next year for that work.
Right, and we're probably, I know, probably going to save money too in the event there was ever kind of a cost increase or anything. This stuff is all probably petroleum-based, right, the liner? So if
correct.
oil and everything fluctuates, then, and their quotes are usually good for like 30 days or so, right? So we're definitely going to, we have the potential to save money there as well.
Correct, yeah, just based on the $10,000 savings is based on the efficiency of them being on site right now and mobilized to do the work. It doesn't even take into account, like you had mentioned, possible price increases for next year.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion? Alderman Lockett?
I'd like to make a motion, recommend City Council pass a resolution waiving competitive bidding and approving change order 1 to the 2023 storm sewer lining contract with Hare Construction.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item number 5. Consideration of acceptance of the canvass of votes by the city. And that would be Administrator White.
Thank you. At the November 27th Public Safety and Finance Committee of the whole meeting, the committee recommended City Council consider accepting the canvass of votes after each consolidated general election pending city attorney review. City attorney did review the information provided as well as the applicable codes and determined that municipal certification, approval, acceptance, or even review and filing of the election results is not required and is rarely done by other municipalities. Essentially, the council does not have a role in the local election process, as that's all handled by the county. Our current process is that the clerk's office, the city clerk's office, receives and files the canvass of votes after each general election. So there is no legal basis or need for the city council to take action or even receive and file the canvass of votes as an item on an agenda. So I wanted to bring this back forward for additional discussion before bringing it forward to a city council meeting. Happy to answer questions.
Questions or comments? Alderman, we'll go with Maurice since he brought this up first.
Treasurer Goodman. I think there continues to be misunderstanding here. The issue that was brought forward is a city issue, and that it has to do with the signature requirements, not who won, but the signature requirements that are then used by all the elected officials at the next election, which is 2 years after the canvass comes. No one's suggesting that anything be done to the canvass in terms of certifying it or so forth. So I guess I'd like to request that this be put off to the next finance meeting and that I get an opportunity to discuss this with Attorney Linneman and just make sure that she understands where this came from, what the problem was that happened. I have discussed this with City Clerk Julie Clark. She was in the position of having to give out, through no fault of her own, confusing information at the time of the 2023 election. And I know, she has some concerns. So I'd like the opportunity to discuss this with Attorney Linneman, maybe Clerk Clark would as well.
Other comments? Alderman Davalos?
Yeah, I guess I just need a clarification. I understand what the city administrator is saying, and that we really have nothing to do with the canvass or with the results of the election or anything else. Have we ever, and I don't know, have we ever in our history just had a receive and file that would be in the packet or information for the alderman, just, can we do that without going against what this opinion is? Just, it is sort of an interesting set of numbers, if you want my opinion, because we do have to look at them when we run for office, and it's just kind of, it's a little peek at Warrenville, our voting, and I'm just wondering if that's possible, or have we ever done that before? Ever had it in the packet?
I believe historically, yes, but that was before the state election code changes were made, where the actual local elected officials had a role in the process, or the city had a role in the process. When that changed, I believe we stopped reviewing and filing the canvass of votes. There's nothing legally that prevents the city council from having it on an agenda and reviewing and filing. It just, it doesn't have an impact. If there's an error, if there's something incorrect, that needs to go through the county.
Oh, yeah, no, that I know, that there's not any way we're going to change it. I'm sort of looking at it like the minutes that we file, we receive and file all the commission minutes and all kinds of things, and they're interesting to read through, I think. So I'm just wondering if that's a hardship to do that, or too much work, or it just might be an interesting thing, and then the public could always look at it through our packets being public. Just a thought.
Yeah, there's nothing that prevents the council, if the council wants us to put it on an agenda once we receive it, there's nothing that legally prevents you from receiving and filing.
Okay.
Just current practice has been, at least, I think when we looked back at it, Dawn, was about 10 years, give or take, that the past practice has sort of been receive and file from the clerk's office.
Oh, at least that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor?
I think for tonight, we could probably just vote to keep things as they are, because as I understand the treasurer, this is not exactly the issue that he's bringing forward. So perhaps we give him some time to research and come back with what he's actually interested in. Unless, my position would be to keep things as they are. Again, we have no control over this. We have no, the information is widely available in other places, but if there's a particular problem that he wishes to address and he needs to refine his request, I think we give him that opportunity to bring that back to us. Is that fair representation, Maury?
Yes, except for the first thing that you said, which was to pass this, because this is contrary to the recommendation from the
Well,
finance
I think
committee.
what we're asked to do is just to keep things as they are.
Nothing, the next time we will either keep things as they are or go back to at least looking at it would be 15 months from now. So that's why my suggestion is don't vote on it tonight. There's no hurry. The next canvas won't be available until May of 2025 or late April of 2025. And I don't think that the discussion was given to the attorney. When I was on the council before, and when something came from the attorney, it was in a memo from the attorney. So here we see something which is sort of secondhand from the attorney. I would just like an opportunity to talk to her about it.
Okay, city administrator?
Administrator?
I don't have any objection to the city attorney having a discussion about it. She will be here at next Monday's meeting as well, and we can have a pre-meeting if you'd like. We can set that up.
So you,
Well, I would just
Yeah.
call her up.
Bring it back.
Okay.
Because, you know, the numbers that I showed before were an issue. They're confusing. I believe I probably didn't explain them very well. I hope that Brooke will understand what happened, and we can talk about that.
So should we be tabling this to a date certain, or based on your conversation with the attorney and recommendation from the city attorney to the council? Is that,
Why don't we table it to the next Public Safety and Finance Committee on March, whatever that date is, 25th, I believe? Yeah, March 25th, next Public Safety and Finance Committee.
So moved. I move to table this item to the next public safety meeting on March 25th. Is that
Second.
2024?
we have a motion and a second to table this until the next public safety meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, item number 6. Discussion of the fiscal year 2025 preliminary citywide work plan.
Thank you. Included with your agenda backup material this evening is a fiscal year 25 citywide work plan. This work plan is presented at the beginning of the budget process for committee review and input. Staff worked on developing this plan over the last several weeks, and it highlights large multi-departmental projects and initiatives, presenting them with prioritization based on staff's perspective. The order of the initiatives within each tier is not indicative of their hierarchy. All Tier 1 items, for instance, hold equal importance, whether it is listed as item 1 or as item 14. And also, please keep in mind that these projects and initiatives and their prioritization may change as we progress through the fiscal year 25 budget process. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the council? Administrator?
Thank you. The citywide work plan will be presented at every upcoming committee of the whole meeting until we have our March workshop. Just as a reminder, this is the opportunity and time if there are items that we would like to move up in prioritization or change in prioritization, or have other items that have not made this list that the council would like us to evaluate and add. Please provide that feedback and staff will review. There will be opportunities with the department budget presentations happening in February where there will be more information presented about each item that makes it onto these work plans. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue to review this as we go through the budget process. I hope you get your voice back.
Thank you.
Item number 7, informational update on the administration, finance, and police department work plans. Any questions or comments? Alderman Davalos?
Thank you. I have to find my line here on the police one. Here we go. So, number, is it 5? What's the one that's working with the schools? Well, anyway, I was going to quote it, but it's, sorry. I just want to say something. I don't know if it's the right place to say it or not, but the item in the police work plan about the training that goes on with the schools and for school safety, this was just an interesting week with the Uvalde report out of the Department of Justice. And if you think about it for a while, and I think about it a lot with our schools, and the training that these officers are receiving and giving to other people for active shooter situations is just so remarkable. And I am so glad that our police department is involved in this and knowing what I think I know, probably pretty heavily, because it's such a stark thing to think about, what these officers have to do with this training to go in there and what they will face with most probably military-style weapons. And I just sometimes am overwhelmed by it. And so I just want to take this time to just say I'm so proud of all of you. And I'm just so grateful with the courage and the training and what really goes on. And I didn't want just a 2-sentence thing to slip by in the report without just acknowledging it's a big deal. It's bigger than one line. And I think, I just feel so fortunate to live in a community that understands that, and a police department that, like I said, has always taken the lead on this sort of thing. And thank you for your courage, and thank you for all the officers' courage and just what they're able to do and willing to do and to keep these kids and teachers and staff safe. So I just wanted to express that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure everyone agrees with your comment. Anyone else? That concludes all of our regular agenda items. We need one more motion. Alderman Lockett.
Happy birthday to Alderman Barry. tomorrow. That, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you all.
This conference is no longer being recorded.